Tragedy in Wyoming today after what is believed to be the body of Gabby Petito is found by investigators.
Gabby's story went national after she went missing while going on a cross-country road trip with her boyfriend over the summer. Here's a breakdown of what led up to today's heartbreaking news. On July 2nd, Gabby Petito leaves New York with boyfriend Brian Laundrie to start their cross-country road trip. They head west in their van, stopping in Colorado and spending time in southern Utah. On August 12th, someone calls Moab police on the couple during a heated argument.
Just go ahead and take a seat.
According to interviews caught on police body cam video, the encounter included Gabby slapping Brian and Brian attempting to lock her out of the car.
I was trying to get him to stop telling me to come.
We don't know where else the couple stopped, but according to family, they make their way up to Salt Lake City, where on August 21st, Gabby's father orders her Uber Eats. The meal is delivered to the Fairfield Inn and Suites near the Salt Lake City airport. On August 24th, the couple leaves Salt Lake City, headed for Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming. Gabby's mom says that was the last time she had a FaceTime call with Gabby. She says it was on that call her daughter made a comment about not knowing where her relationship with her boyfriend was going. Communication with Gabby then switched to text only. On August 25th, the couple's van is spotted at Grand Teton National Park. It was also the last day a picture was posted on Gabby's Instagram. On August 30th, Gabby's mom gets a text from her daughter's number, but isn't sure if it's actually Gabby. After that, Gabby stops replying to texts. On September 1st, police say Gabby's boyfriend gets back to Florida. On September 11th, after not hearing from Gabby for 2 weeks, family reports her missing to police. 2 days later, police locate the van that the couple was traveling in at the boyfriend's parents' home in Florida. September 15th, Brian Laundrie is named a person of interest in the case. September 17th, police announced Brian left his Florida home and is nowhere to be found. Today at about noon, Chopper 5 capturing this exclusive video of a body being found at a campground just outside of Grand Teton National Park. At 4 o'clock this afternoon, the FBI confirming that they believe the body to be that of Gabby Petito.
Earlier today, human remains were discovered, consistent with the description of Gabby Petito.
An autopsy is expected to be performed on Tuesday. The Teton County coroner says they will use photographs, personal ID, and/or DNA to confirm that the body they found is in fact Gabby Petito.
It is a desperate search right now for a missing 22-year-old woman. She was last seen traveling through Utah with her boyfriend.
But somewhere along the way, her family says she disappeared.
Yes, and now this story is starting to get some national attention.
Her family tells us she disappeared along the way. Most recently, police found the van she was traveling in.
She hasn't been seen or heard from in 2 weeks.
Well, the bottom line here is they want to talk to the boyfriend, Brian Laundrie, to get any information about Gabby's whereabouts. He is the last person she was seen with that they know of. And we spoke to investigators in Florida tonight who tell us the boyfriend has lawyered up.
We just want to make sure she's safe.
Investigators with the Northport Police Department say they are eager to talk to Brian Laundrie after finding missing 22-year-old Gabby Petito's van at his parents' Florida home.
Took that vehicle, and it is currently in our possession, and we're processing it for any potential evidence. We have attempted to speak with Brian. So far, his family has given us the name and phone number of their attorney.
KSL also reached out to that attorney, but haven't heard back.
This is not like her. She keeps in touch.
Gabby's mother, Nicole Schmidt, said her daughter traveled from Florida to see her in New York State and left for that cross-country trip with her boyfriend of 2 years on July 2nd. The couple documenting their trip on social media, traveling to Colorado, southern Utah, and Salt Lake City. The two made their way up to Wyoming, where her mother last FaceTimed her around August 24th.
She seemed okay to me at the time, other than I didn't know where the relationship was going with the boyfriend.
Gabby's family says it's now been nearly 2 weeks since they've seen or heard from her. Investigators in New York are handling the missing persons case, while police in Florida assist. The Salt Lake City Police Department says they've reached out to the agencies, and the FBI also on the case since it's crossed state lines.
If it does turn out to be something, more nefarious, It's going to be helpful to have, the FBI on hand, because wherever she would potentially be found, it will then become their investigation.
Now, Gabby's family says that they just want answers and hope all the agencies involved in this case get the information they need, especially from her boyfriend. Ashley Moser, KSL 5 News.
KSL News at 6 starts now.
She's out there. We're doing everything in our power to bring her home. But obviously, we have a role to plan for the worst.
Police all across the country trying to find Gabriella Petito, a Florida woman who disappeared after making multiple stops here in the state of Utah. Gabby and her boyfriend, Brian Laundrie, were driving through national parks all across the country, which now makes this a nationwide search.
Even the FBI has set up a tip line to streamline any potential leads to 1-800-CALL-FBI. We have team coverage on news specialist Morgan Wolf is in Moab with the latest on the couple's interaction with local police there.
And we start things off with news specialist Garna Mejia. She's in Jackson, Wyoming, where the search for Gabby is now pretty focused, huh, Garna?
Yeah, that's right, you guys. This is Gabby's last known location. Now, the couple wasn't due back in Florida until October, but instead police say that Gabby's boyfriend got home without her, informing no one more than 2 weeks ago, leaving behind no clues except for this place, the last known location.
With its quaint shops and mountain views, Jackson Hole, Wyoming is where you go to get away.
We flew from New York last night.
But for Gabby Petito's family, it's the total opposite.
This is any parent's absolute nightmare.
In what is now a needle in a haystack search, Petito's family splitting up to be in New York, Florida, and here, where they believe she was last seen exactly 3 weeks ago.
There's just something in our gut that says that we needed somebody here. This is my stepdaughter, Gabby Petito. She's gone missing in the area.
Jim Schmidt, Petito's stepdad, got here last night with a family friend. They've been posting flyers and advocating for Petito.
We'll go wherever it takes to find her.
Florida police say it would be a lot easier if the 22-year-old's boyfriend, now a person of interest in the case, would just talk.
You say she's the love of your life. You should be in the forefront.
Instead, police say Brian Laundrie has remained silent. The Petito's family says that won't stop them from finding her.
It's about protecting your kid, but it's also about doing the right thing. And the right thing is giving the information to us so we can get Gabby home.
Now, for now, Petito's dad tells me that he's going to allow police to do their search and their investigation, but they're here to advocate. It's why they have these flyers that they're posting throughout town. Now, they also tell us that the couple has been together for 2 years, but they've known each other since high school. In that time, her family tells me that they know of no incidents of violence or any sort of situation like that between the couple. They say, of course, that could all change with what we're learning today. Back to you.
All right, Garna, thank you.
One of the last places the couple was seen before going to Wyoming was in Moab, where police say they responded to an argument between the couple. News specialist Morgan Wolf has that police report. Morgan?
Yes, well, I'm actually outside of Arches National Park, and this is the road where they were pulled over by police and questioned. Police say that they were driving 45 miles per hour on this road that is only 15. And the report gives us a very detailed look into what their current relationship status was like.
The beautiful red rocks in Moab garner national attention frequently.
I just think it's kind of creepy.
But this week, it's a limelight that is being shined in a small town following the mysterious disappearance of Gabrielle Petito. A man called police after seeing Petito and her boyfriend Brian Laundrie fighting outside of this Moab co-op on August 12th. The couple was pulled over outside of Arches National Park, where police say Petito was crying uncontrollably. In the report obtained by KSL TV, Petito told police that the two had an argument that led to her trying to slap Laundrie after she thought that he was going to drive away without her. Laundrie told police that they've been traveling together for 4 or 5 months. That time created emotional strain between them, causing more fights. Petito told police that she suffered from severe anxiety, and police suggested that the couple separate for the evening. Petito agreed, staying with her van. Meanwhile, Laundrie was taken to stay somewhere else in town by police. No one was charged. The couple had spent time at Canyonlands and Arches National Parks throughout August, posting about their adventurous hikes and camping on social media. They left the area by August 21st when Petito's father said that he ordered food to be sent to them in Salt Lake City.
I just feel like it's crazy because it doesn't really happen here.
Petito's disappearance has Moab residents reflecting.
But Moab's such a big black backyard. Like, I just feel like it can happen here and people don't realize it.
KSL TV's request for that 911 call from that man that reported this fighting was denied by the Grand County Sheriff's Office because they said it would interfere with the federal investigation of Petito's disappearance. Also, Moab police were not available to talk to journalists today, but they are working on releasing the body cam video that they have from this incident that happened here. We are also working to confirm when the couple was reunited because police didn't tell us that information. We don't know if they even know that right now. Live in Moab, Morgan Wolf, KSL 5 News.
Morgan, thank you.
All right, we, of course, will continue to track the search for Gabby and the details coming out of Utah. Again, if you know anything or if you have seen that van, call the national tip line. That number is 1-800-CALL-FBI.
If you or your family have any decency left, please tell us where Gabby is located. Tell us if we are even looking in the right place.
New and anguished pleas tonight from Gabby Petito's family, begging her boyfriend and his family to come forward and help find Gabby. Another day of searching, another day of no clear answers.
Yeah, the missing 22-year-old's family still searching the area around Grand Teton, Wyoming tonight as investigators in several states now, including the state of Utah, are working together to figure out what exactly happened here.
Team coverage for you tonight. Let's start off with news specialist Garna Mejia, who is in Wyoming with Gabby's family as authorities say that this is now a physical search for her. Garna?
Yeah, good afternoon. Authorities here in Wyoming are now confirming that their efforts include an active physical search here at Grand Teton National Park for 22-year-old Gabby Petito. Now, this is a place that her family feels confident. She was last seen with her boyfriend, Brian Laundrie, before she vanished. Now, the park gets thousands of visitors every day, and the Teton County Sheriff's Office tells us they're screening every lead that comes in through the FBI's tip line, 1-800-CALL-FBI.
You never know what you've got in a photo that you just might have not thought anything about a photo of the entrance to Grand Teton National Park, and lo and behold, there was a van that matches the description of the van in this case. All those little pieces can be little pieces of the puzzle to help us figure out where Gabby is.
As of right now, deputies tell me there isn't necessarily a grid search of a specific area, but that could change in coming days. Now, rather than coming out here to do physical searches, they're asking the public, especially if you visited the park around August 25th, to go through your phone and look for pictures of either Gabby Petito, her boyfriend, Brian Laundrie, or the 2012 transit van that they were driving. Now, coming up at 6 o'clock, Gabby's last text message to her mom referenced Yosemite National Park. We'll tell you at 6 o'clock why her family says that that has nothing to do with this search and why they're focusing right here. I'm Garna Mejia, KSL 5 News.
Garna, thank you. Anguish pleas for the public's help tonight from Gabby's father.
And we are getting our first glimpse of an altercation between Gabby and her boyfriend during a stop in Moab. Our team coverage continues with news specialist Matt Rascone.
The main message from authorities and her father is, we need your help. Gabby's boyfriend isn't talking, and they're pleading for more information to narrow this search.
Where's Gabby? That's my response.
More questions and few answers today in the search for Gabby Petito. Her family is desperate to find her.
I'm asking for help from everyone here.
Gabby and Brian Laundrie left New York for a cross-country trip in June. They documented the adventure on social media, and police say Gabby kept in regular contact with her family until the end of August, when it abruptly stopped.
Whatever you can do to make sure my daughter comes home, I'm asking for that help. There's nothing else that matters to me now.
The investigation now spans several states, including Utah, where the couple visited Moab.
I don't know, we just been fighting all morning and he would have let me in the car before.
On August 12th, someone called police on the couple during a heated argument. According to interviews on police body camera video, the encounter included Gabby slapping Brian and Brian attempting to lock her out of the van.
Beyond that, I don't know what it has to do with the disappearance.
The incident happened a day or so before this couple went missing from Moab and were later found shot to death.
We have communication going back and forth with Grand County Sheriff's Office. They told us that they're looking at everything at this point.
Brian returned home to Florida with Gabby's van earlier this month and has so far kept quiet.
2 people went on a trip, 1 person returned, and that person that returned isn't providing us any information.
Until then, the family and investigators are asking for help from anyone who may know where Gabby is.
This girl right here, this is what matters. That is it.
Police are not calling this a crime, but they have named Brian a person of interest. His attorney has counseled him to remain silent, and it appears that's exactly what he's doing. Matt Rascone, KSL 5 News.
Matt, thank you. Keep it right here on KSL for the very latest in the search for Gabby. Our team is tracking this story as it develops from every angle. We'll bring you the very latest breaking information as it comes into the newsroom.
That's where news specialist Garna Bahia is tonight. She joins us live with the latest. Garna.
Yeah, good evening, you guys. A lot of developments in this case in just the last 2 or 3 hours. We are now confirming with Northport Police. They say that they are, in fact, at Brian Laundrie's home, but they are there to speak with his parents at their own invitation. It appears those conversations do not include Brian, and he may not even be home. Meantime, search efforts here continue. They've been only gaining momentum as every day goes by, with FBI agents following up on leads into the disappearance of Gabby Petito as far as Idaho and Wyoming. However, the majority of efforts still appear focused here near Grand Teton National Park. Today, we also saw park rangers speaking with campers at the Spread Creek. It's a dispersed camping area about 20 minutes east of here. We actually spoke with a local man who says he and a friend saw Petito's van as they were spotting for elk on August 29th.
Said that he thought he had seen the white Sprinter van that was described in the investigation. So, like blacked out grill, blacked out wheels. And we all live in this small town, so when stuff like this happens, we all kind of take a little bit of initiative and try to, look out for things.
Now, what's interesting about Spread Creek is that Petito marked that place as a possible camping area through the DIRT website, something Tyler Valentine, who we just heard from, and his friend were unaware of when we spoke with them. Now, the Grand County Sheriff's Office down in southern Utah also just released a statement dismissing any connection between the double murder of Crystal Turner and Kylene Schulte and the Petito case. Also, something interesting to note here as we were getting ready for this live program, we were expecting a press conference here at 4 o'clock. That was canceled last minute with no explanation. That was happening at the same time as we believe officers were arriving to the Laundrie home in Florida. We'll have to wait and see if there's any connection. For now, we'll send it back to you.
Yeah, certainly a lot to still sort out in this one. All right, thank you, Garna. Good evening. Breaking developments in the nationwide search for Gabby Petito. Her boyfriend, the only person of interest in this case, has now gone missing himself. This revelation being made after police were called to his parents' home late this afternoon.
This as the FBI released a new missing persons poster for Gabby in hopes of drumming up some new leads. News specialist Matt Rascone joins us live. Matt, another unexpected turn in this case.
Yeah, guys, you might remember yesterday, police in Florida said they knew where Brian Laundrie was. Turns out his parents now claim they haven't seen him since Tuesday. Just the latest curveball, as you said, in this growing, desperate search for his girlfriend. The search for 22-year-old Gabby Petito has expanded. The FBI, working with agencies across several states, is asking for any information to help them find her.
Trying to focus on the scenario I have in my head, that she's stuck somewhere and she's just, just needs help.
Gabby's father, Joe, has pleaded for her boyfriend, Brian Laundrie, and his parents to speak up.
This type of behavior is just, it's cruel.
KSL Live at 5 starts now.
What were they doing? We drove by and the gentleman was slapping the girl. He was slapping her? Yes.
New clues tonight in the Gabby Petito case. Moab police releasing the 911 call of that altercation between Gabby and her boyfriend less than 24 hours after authorities make a grim discovery in the Grand Tetons.
Human remains were discovered consistent with the description of Gabby Petito.
Meanwhile, the FBI moving in, raiding the home of Brian Laundrie, which is now considered a crime scene.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. An extremely busy 48 hours for investigators trying to crack the Gabby Petito case.
Now this as the manhunt for her boyfriend, Brian Laundrie, intensifies.
We have team coverage for you tonight, and we start things off with news specialist Garna Mejia. She's live in Wyoming with more on the body that was found in the 911 call coming out of southern Utah. Garna?
Yeah, that's right, you guys. Still a lot of unanswered questions here, and that's the activity that we're seeing over at the Spread Creek area where those human remains were found. FBI agents still have it locked down as they work to meticulously put together that scene and get a better idea of what exactly happened. In the meantime, like you mentioned, we're getting that information coming out of southern Utah. The Moab Police Department has released the 911 call to KSL that came in on August 12th. That's when a witness, a man, allegedly spotted Brian Laundrie being aggressive towards Gabby Petito. And that's what eventually led officers to pull the couple over. Now, officers later determined during their investigation that Petito was likely the aggressor, as Laundrie had scratches on his hands, his face, and arm. Now, the couple was separated for a day, but this call puts all of those decisions into question as the witness clearly states they observed Laundrie hitting Petito.
What were they doing? We drove by and the gentleman was slapping the girl. He was slapping her? Yes, and then we stopped. They ran up and down the sidewalk. He proceeded to hit her, hopped in the car, and they drove off.
Now, it's unclear how much time police actually kept the couple apart for, but police concluded that the incident was more of an emotional or a mental health break than a domestic violence situation, something that will definitely come into play and questioning as detectives try to understand what happened between the couple as they arrived here in Wyoming. Now, in the meantime, family members who are here in Wyoming tell me that they plan on remaining here until they are able to take Gabby back home with them. We'll have more for you coming up at 6 o'clock.
All right, Garna, thank you. And FBI agents descending on the Laundrie home today, spending hours combing for clues there.
Our team coverage continues with Jay Gray. He's been at the Laundrie's Northport, Florida home all day, and he joins us now with the very latest. Jay?
Good evening, and it has been a very busy day here at the Laundrie house in Northport, Florida. Brian Laundrie, of course, a person of interest in the disappearance of Gabby Petito. He also missing himself since last Tuesday.
I have a gut feeling that something bad happened to her. I'm not gonna get her back.
A father's gut feeling is now a heartbreaking reality as coroners confirm his daughter's body was found in Wyoming. Gabby Petito's disappearance is now a homicide investigation following today's autopsy. In the coroner's initial report, her manner of death is listed as homicide, but her exact cause of death, that's still pending final autopsy results. The FBI released a statement naming her boyfriend, Brian Laundrie, as a person of interest again, and promising to hold the person responsible for Gabby's death accountable for their actions. A memorial for Gabby continues to grow in Ogden. Even though she wasn't from Utah, she spent a lot of time in our state in her final days.
News specialist Ashley Moser joined us from the newsroom right now with more on the memorial and why this spot was chosen to honor Gabby. Ashley?
Well, Mike and Deanie, this mural right outside of an Ogden business is the last spot from Gabby's Instagram post. She took a picture in front of it, posted that. And, you know, even though she wasn't from Utah, she was just traveling through the state. Many who have paid tribute to her at that exact spot say that her story resonates with them.
Although I didn't know her, I can still support her from the sidelines.
With flowers, candles, posters, and words of support.
You are in my prayers 110%.
Dozens of Utahns have flocked to this mural along 25th Street in Ogden.
I feel like I've known you forever.
To show their love for Gabby Petito. Jess Smith says it was Gabby's story that drew her in.
I was in a domestic violence situation myself, and it was really hard to get out of.
She says when she hears about Gabby's relationship with her boyfriend, she can't help but think of her own life experiences.
I know it's easy to miss the signs and not really know the next step to go without fearing of what's going to happen next.
I would like to look into what can we do to prevent this for other women in the same situation.
Ogden resident Holly feels Gabby's story is continuing a very important and very real conversation about domestic violence and hopes by shining light on this issue, others seek help.
Women need to know how precious they are, how valued, how wonderful. And hopefully Gabby knows that, even though she's not here with us.
And although Ogden is thousands of miles away from where Gabby's parents live, those who have come out to this memorial signed these books to show their support for the family.
I hope that we can touch their hearts, even just a little bit, to let her know that people all over the world love Gabby.
Yeah, guys, things have certainly shifted since authorities made that tragic discovery yesterday. I spoke to a defense attorney and former prosecutor not affiliated with the case, but about the developments and what they could mean for the investigation. A search for the missing has turned to a search for answers.
So they're still building their case, and that's very obvious.
FBI agents sifted through the home of Brian Laundrie's parents today, leaving with boxes of property and a Mustang.
And they're going to go through that with a fine-tooth comb and look for anything that would corroborate what they found when they found her.
Authorities found what's believed to be Gabby Petito's body more than 2,000 miles away and more than 5 weeks after this incident in Moab.
It sounds to me like she is the primary aggressor.
Body camera video paints a different picture than the initial 911 call of a domestic incident.
Who was slapping her? Yes, and then we stopped. They ran up and down the sidewalk. He proceeded to hit her, hopped in the car, and they drove off.
Now, a search warrant is shedding new light on Gabby's last communication, what her mom called an odd text she received from her on August 27th. The text message read, "Can you help Stan? I just keep getting his voicemails and missed calls." The reference to Stan was regarding her grandfather, but per the mother, she never calls him Stan. Brian returned to Florida with her van, but without her September 1st.
The fact that he hasn't cooperated isn't as much of a problem, I think, as the fact that he's now fled and disappeared and nobody seems to know where he is.
His family tells police Brian took off to a park last Tuesday with a backpack.
If they believe that his parents or his family have hidden evidence, hidden him, obstructed justice in some way, they too could be charged.
And on Sunday, Chopper 5 was in the air when search and rescue teams discovered the tragedy. Chopper 5 captured the exact moments that forensic detectives approached the site where a body rested under a small grove of trees. We will not be showing that moment. But the grove is on the opposite side of the creek from where witnesses spotted the van. Yesterday, we saw detectives wrapping up their investigation just before they opened the area to the public. A closer look at the site still shows the orange spray paint marks left behind by investigators. And in the grove of trees, ashes and rocks in what appears to be a small fire pit. There's also a makeshift cross made of rocks on the water's edge, a sad reminder of what authorities now suspect was a murder.
Well, and you guys, Petito's family members were telling me, those that are here in Wyoming were telling me just last night that they felt that they had a mission that they needed to accomplish, and that was to be able to take her home. Our thoughts are with them as they go throughout that process. Now, they did say in a statement today that they would be speaking to media once they were able to get Gabby back home. In the meantime, they're echoing the FBI's call for anyone with information on this case who spotted the couple or the van or knows of Laundrie's whereabouts to call 1-800-CALL-FBI. In Wyoming, I'm Garna Mejia, KSL 5 News.
A lot of eyes looking for Brian all over the country. Garna, thank you. And that brings us to our next story. When Gabby Petito went missing, internet sleuths, national media, and multiple law enforcement agencies all worked to find answers. Could that same level of attention help find answers for other families? Mike?
Yeah, well, Deanie, hundreds of people have been reported missing in Wyoming over the last decade. And tonight, KSL investigator Daniela Rivera joins us now with some new research on how some missing person cases are treated differently than others. Daniela?
Well, Mike, no one we spoke with begrudges Gabby Petito's family for the attention and support her case received. In fact, they're grateful for it and say it's how we should act when someone goes missing. But sadly, that is oftentimes not the case. In the days after she was reported missing, Gabby Petito's bright smile spread across social media like wildfire. People across the country looking for clues, hoping for a positive outcome.
Why did Gabby's case get so much attention? And again, so grateful that it did. But you had a beautiful, young, blonde, white woman.
Kara Chambers is the Director of Victim Services in the Wyoming Attorney General's office and chairs the state's Missing and Murdered Indigenous Persons Task Force.
It is highlighting a disparity.
In January, the state released a report that found 710 Indigenous people were reported missing between 2011 and 2020. And while Indigenous people only make up 3% of Wyoming's total population, they account for 21% of the state's homicide victims. Researchers analyzed newspaper reports of all those missing people and found homicide cases involving white victims were more likely to get covered, 51% of them. Only 30% of homicides with Indigenous victims were covered, and that number drops to just 18% for Indigenous female homicide victims. How those victims are portrayed also differs.
The unfortunate negativity involved in the reporting, very little personalization that's done about the victim, referring more to a body versus a victim. And you don't see that as much when reporting on white victims.
That this has been an epidemic.
The numbers to Nicole Wagon are painfully personal. Her oldest daughter, Jocelyn Watt, was murdered in 2019.
Big heart, made everybody smile.
As she waited for answers that still haven't come, Jocelyn's younger sister, Jade Wagon, went missing. 3 weeks later, she was found dead. Her case is closed, but Nicole doesn't have faith in the investigation. She believes Jade was murdered too.
There's more, many more, even after the fact of losing my two daughters. So there's many families out here. I imagine we're watching it, feeling the same way of, do we count and matter?
How many families do you know who are still waiting for answers?
I can't even, just too many.
That report made recommendations that Chambers says the state is acting on. Those include raising community awareness, creating an Indigenous advocate position, and developing a uniform data reporting system. That one is still in progress. Mike.
Yeah, interesting. Daniela, thank you very much.